What a
saying. Or a cat person. There's men out there that love them too. Wow, that is crazy. We have to run a break. We come back. We will cover either more of this or go into headlines. It's really an Eric choice moment. So we'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. You know, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
I got a rather serious problem over here.
All right, what are we looking at?
Cranky mother-in-law asleep on the couch in the man cave.
Dear God.
It gets worse.
That's impossible.
And she's passed out on the remote.
I stand corrected.
What do I do?
Okay, I want you to grab a Torrin Big Red hydraulic bottle jack.
Okay.
Now you wedge that bad boy in under your mother-in-law and crank her up skyward.
It's working. And got the remote.
Great. Now grab that Torrin Big Red 2-ton folding shop crane and put that woman on wheels.
And away we go.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olson.
Eric, we are covering all the symbolism of Halloween, and black cats got a bad rap. And, of course, ghosts, they're running around, running amok during the in-between time of the year.
Amok.
They're running amok and having a good time, but the flaming cat still takes the cake. I can't believe they're chasing him down the road. Come here,
him
kitty.
down the road, cackling up the storm.
Poor kitty.
I know, it
Poor
sucks.
kitty. That would really be a bad time to be a cat. Okay, where you want to do one more? Should we do pumpkins? Should we do pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns, or where would you like to go?
Well, we certainly can. I was going to say maybe talk about the lost art of divination, because it's something that's no longer associated really with Halloween.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the lost art of divination, shall we?
All right, let's talk about that. All right. Here we are amidst the noisy, colorful pop cultural extravaganza that is contemporary Halloween in America. However, an element central to the extended history of Halloween, centuries, all the way back to pre-Christian Celtic celebration of Samhain, has virtually been lost, and that is the art of divination. Most people do, What? What are you talking about? Halloween? Divination? So central were rites and customs of divination, especially regarding matters of the heart, to the celebration of Halloween, that the cover of the Book of Halloween, Ruth Edna Kelly's classic history of the holiday, published in 1919, 100 years ago almost, depicts an owl perched on a jack-o'-lantern asking, who, don't you wish you knew? Doctor, lawyer, merchant, chief, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief. In fact, until the second half of the 20th century, when Halloween became primarily a children's costume pageant and sugar stockpiling safari through the neighborhood, celebration of Halloween was mostly about games and rituals offering hints of the future, especially among unattached young people yearning for clues as to their future mates. That's what Halloween was all about until recent times.
Interesting. Well, I did not know that. That has been something that we've lost throughout the years of Halloween, then, is the divination part of it.
Yeah, and let's try to figure out why that might be. In ancient Celtic times, Samhain was celebrated on November 1st and was considered the beginning of the new year, always a time for prognostication. The sacred fire of the old year was extinguished. A new fire was lit in the altar. Sparks were passed on to light ceremonial hilltop fires. In Ireland, where perhaps the veil between worlds has always been thinnest, the altar was on the hill of Ward in Meath, where sacrifices, especially black sheep, were burned in the new fire. From the death struggles of the creatures, omens for the year ahead were gleaned. Thousands of years later, as related in Kelly's 1919 book, an Irish Halloween divination ritual involved a meal of colcannon, mashed potatoes, parsnips, and chopped onions. A ring was burned in the colcannon, and the one who found it would be married within the year, or if already married, would have a particularly good luck. Also buried in the dish might be a coin, a thimble, meaning spinsterhood, ooh, boo, or a doll, meaning children. A variation on the theme found a ring and nut baked into a cake. The ring meant impending marriage. The nut indicated that its finder would marry a widow or widower. If the nut was withered, no marriage was prophesied. Uh-oh. Wah, wah.
You lose. Thank you.
Yeah, no soup for you. Another Irish nut test involved burning 3 nutshells named for a girl and 2 sweethearts. If one of the sweetheart shells burns at the same rate as the girl's, that love would be compatible with and faithful to her. Not sure what they did if all 3 shells burned together. Or a girl might melt lead in a spoon and pour it into cold water. The shape each blob took in the water suggested the occupation of the future husband of the girl, which is usually a very subjective undertaking.
Watch it to the couch, meaning he's unemployed. He just sits around all day. You get a lazy man.
A little unemployment card all embossed and everything. Whoa, where'd that come from? On the male side of the soothsaying aisle, hemp seed was sown across 3 furrows, with the sower repeating, "Hemp seed, I saw thee. Hemp seed, I saw thee." And her, that is my... Oh, all this convoluted grammar. "And her that is to be my true love, come after me and draw thee." Looking back over his shoulder, he might see the apparition of his future wife gathering hemp. Boy, that's complicated. No. More elaborate still, a party of 12 could learn their fortune by gathering a clod of earth from a churchyard and setting 12 candles, one for each in the party, in the clod. The fortune of each would be like that of the candle lit in their name, steady, wavering, or soon eclipsed by darkness. Oh, man. Wow. If one was really committed on Halloween, one could go out alone and unperceived to a south-running brook, dip a shirt sleeve in it, bring it home, hang it by the fire to dry. If lucky, one might catch a glimpse of a destined mate come to turn the shirt to dry the other side before midnight. Wow, spooky stuff.
That is very spooky stuff. That's scary. Downright scary is what that is.
Similar prognosticating shenanigans in 18th century Scotland was described by Robert Burns. The single and unengaged went out hand in hand and blindfolded to the cabbage patch. They pulled the first stalk they came upon, brought it back to the house, and were unbandaged. The size and shape of the stalk indicated the appearance of the future husband or wife. "You look like a cabbage!" This ritual was thought to be particularly effective if the cabbage was stolen from the garden of an
ill-gotten cabbage on top of it.
Exactly, from an unmarried person, which seems like adding insult to injury.
It kind of is. You're not married, so you don't need this cabbage anyway.
And the English, in turn, had a thing for the walnut tree. We won't go into the details of that. More convoluted prognostication around a walnut tree. Sometimes the stakes were even higher than marriage or good fortune. On the Isle of Man in the Irish Sea between England and Ireland, the curious filled a thimble with salt and poured it carefully into a little pile on a plate. If the heap was found fallen over by morning, the person it represented was doomed to die within the year.
Doomed, I tell you. Doomed. You're all doomed.
Wow, that wasn't really very friendly at all. All right, finally, we come to a vestige of Halloween divination we might actually recognize: bobbing for apples.
Ah, yes.
Of the apple symbolizing the often slippery pursuit of love. Recall that in It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, first aired in 1966, more than 50 years ago now, the kids bob for apples at their Halloween party. Don't see a lot of that
I
anymore.
was gonna say, you don't see a whole lot of apple bobbing anymore.
No, not these days. Apple seeds were used in yet another test. A pair of seeds named for the two potential lovers were stuck on the brow or eyelids. The one that stays stuck longer represents the true lover. Women would also pare apples and throw the peels over their shoulders in the hope that the peels would land in the shape of their future husband's initials. Most of these traditions migrated with immigrants from the British Isles to America between the 17th and 19th centuries. Why did divination fall by the wayside as a key component of Halloween celebration in America by mid-20th century? Perhaps it was too real. Gaining an insight into the future may sound beguiling, but it can also be scary as hell. As in real world scary, not Halloween scary. Halloween has become more about artifice, becoming someone or something else by wearing a costume for the evening, watching a scary movie or TV show for vicarious thrills, decorating lavishly using the symbols of the season, and of course, the treats. But divination has real life implications and reminds us that not too long ago, spirits interfering with the lives of the living and witches casting damaging spells on the crops or stealing a baby or two were very real, terrifying concerns. It's much easier if it's all pretend.
That is right. Now
There you go.
You can catch all these articles if you're so inclined at America's Most on and just kind of search them out a little bit. Lost Art Divination, the articles
Halloween
there.
Section.
Yep, a whole section dedicated to Halloween. Just look it up and you can read these in their entirety for yourself.
You surely can, my friends.
And again,
there are any more.
There's a ton more, a whole lot more than we can cover tonight. Check it out. Eric also covers Christmas, Easter, New Year's, all of the major holidays. They all have a strange history about them, so you're going to want to read all that. We will be covering more of that as we go along. As the holidays approach, look for us to cover maybe Christmas, of course, and the New Year, and things such as that. So check that out again, America's-Most-Haunted.com for all those articles. Shifting gears, Eric. Everybody fire up your yay old Twitter over there and search out America's Most Haunted, AM Haunted, for all you cool kids out there with that side from it. And follow along with these headlines. Again, that's America's Most Haunted Twitter feed over Twitter. You don't even have to be a member of Twitter, but it'd be a whole lot cooler if you were, you know what I'm saying? So why don't you follow us out right on over here.
Absolutely. What he said.
That's right, baby. I'm smooth as silk. What can I say?
All right. So we've already mentioned haunted houses as very potent symbols of Halloween.
I live in one, so yes.
So close your eyes. What in your mind's eye does the classic haunted house look like?
A rundown old huge estate with a peaked roof and a window up top. So if you look up, you can see a ghost peering at you from the attic.
Perfect. Exactly correct. And another description for what you just said would be a Victorian mansion.
That's right. So that's what we all picture as the Victorian mansion. Scaring the hell out of us since Victorian times. Thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. Actually, since the 20s, as this article says. So it's really quite fascinating. How did Victorian mansions become the default haunted house?
Hey, dog, settle down. I have my pup here in studio. Otherwise, if I let her roam around the house unattended, she will destroy everything. So I do apologize for any barking you may hear. She is only 6 months old, after all. Still getting used to being in a house with me.
And being a dog.
Yeah. Still try to figure all that out. So there you go. So if you hear any of that going on, it's just the dog in the studio.
We got it. No probs. So picture that haunted house. Cool article. Click through. It's on the JSTOR site, which is kind of an interesting it's where the news meets, what do they call it? Where the news meets academia, basically. So it digs real seriously into the kind of the underlying scholarly truths in the news. Exactly. And this article is called How Victorian Mansions Became the Default
How They Became Vogue.
Exactly. Very interesting stuff. Basically what happened was by the 20s, everyone was just burnt out and sick of everything to do with the Victorian era. Modernism was in just full-blown in art, in architecture, and everything else. everything from the past, the old past, that led to World War I, the hideous World War I. I forget